For nearly half a century, officials have been spotting unexplained objects in the sky and even in space, yet have shared very little about them with the public. Now, that's all about to change. Throughout the years, there's been growing pressure in Washington to release all classified UAP files, yet officials have repeatedly avoided discussing the subject. For many, this only deepened the mystery. If these sightings are not seen as a threat, then why keep them hidden for so long? That question has fueled decades of speculation, and now, after years of secrecy, officials appear ready, perhaps reluctantly, to let the public see the files for themselves. On May 8th, the Department of War announced that it was reviewing and making public unresolved UAP-related records held by the government. To launch this new era of transparency, the Pentagon released a cache of nearly 160 files, including images, footage, and documents from the FBI, NASA, and the Department of State, some dating back to the 1940s. Among the most notable files in the release are a series of photographs taken by astronauts during the Apollo 12 mission, the second flight to bring men to the moon. From the landing site on the lunar surface, astronauts captured what appears to be a group of unidentified objects floating ahead, some of which look like faint glowing dots, almost cylindrical in shape. Officials did not offer a theory of what these could be, yet labeled them, quote, areas of interest. While there are no images of the Apollo 11 mission in the documents, a transcript of the crew debriefing upon completing the first moon landing reveals that Buzz Aldrin also claimed to have witnessed unexplained objects on the lunar surface. In the documents, he declared, quote, "I was trying to go to sleep with all the lights out. I observed what I thought were little flashes inside the cabin, spaced a couple of minutes apart." He added, quote, "I observed what appeared to be a fairly bright light source, which we tentatively ascribed to a possible laser." Defense officials didn't really clarify why these pictures were kept from the public back in the 60s. Perhaps the mysterious objects seen floating in space were deemed too inconclusive to report, or maybe Cold War paranoia took over, with the Americans seeking to hide any evidence that could suggest the Soviets had somehow beaten the US to the moon. Whatever the case, it appears no official was concerned enough about these UAPs to protest, not until they began showing up above Earth. Among the most concerning UAP files released are a series of military sightings over Iraq, Syria, Japan, and even the US, which no one can fully explain. These objects were detected near sensitive military operations in restricted airspace. Whether they were advanced surveillance aircraft or something far more obscure, the fact that they could operate so close to military assets without clear identification immediately raised alarms. In one video, captured from an unspecified US military platform back in January of this year, somewhere above North America, sensors appear to lock on to an area of interest when suddenly an unidentified object darts across the sky. The camera readjusts to track the new object, which in the video appears to be composed of two glowing light orbs. Some might see them as two jet exhausts burning brightly as the aircraft accelerates at top speed. However, the object appears to remain almost motionless to the camera, as if looking back at the American system recording it before the video cuts. This is just the start. Other files reveal what appear to be super-hot objects and fast-moving aircraft that American systems struggle to keep up with. No defense official has declared that these have anything to do with extraterrestrial life, yet no one is denying they could, nonetheless, be a real threat. As negotiations on a potential peace deal between America and Iran go back and forth, the situation across the Strait of Hormuz has become somewhat unclear to analysts. While officially, a ceasefire between the two nations has been in effect for weeks, as of May 12th, President Trump has declared that this truce is on, quote, massive life support. Now, footage of recent encounters around the Persian Gulf has helped some experts get a better sense of what's actually going on and where plans for an end to the war began to go wrong. On May 7th, videos seemingly captured by Iranian civilians showed what's been identified as Keshem Port and the coastal city of Bandar Abbas under attack. Explosions can be seen across the sky, their detonations echoing across the entire area. The Iranians did not immediately accuse the United States of carrying out the attacks, and some sources even looked at the United Arab Emirates as the main suspect behind them. Nevertheless, upon consulting online flight logs, analysts quickly identified that a group of American KC-135 Stratotankers took off from the UAE around the time the attack occurred, strongly suggesting that the U.S. was at least involved in the operation. As more videos capturing the strike kept pouring online, and analysts continued digging into the flight patterns of American forces, they eventually admitted their involvement. A delicate situation to be in, given that the U.S. had only recently been trying to get the Iranians to agree to a new peace offer. Now, the Iranians were not just skeptical about continuing negotiations, but eager to get back at the U.S. Not long after the attacks on the Iranian ports took place, a new set of videos showing the Iranian Navy deploying what's been described as cruise missiles and combat drones made the rounds online. According to the Iranians, the strikes managed to reach U.S. ships positioned near the Strait of Hormuz and cause, quote, significant damage. However, America did not confirm that any of its vessels had been compromised. While the Iranians accused the U.S. of breaking the terms of the ceasefire, the Americans insisted that the war had not restarted. However, just one day after the attacks on Qeshm Port and Bandar Abbas, footage of yet another strike surfaced, suggesting that the possibility of a peace deal between both nations could be further away than many had hoped. In the video, only one tanker can be seen engulfed in a plume of smoke after being struck. According to CENTCOM, the attack, quote, disabled MT Sea-Star 3 and MT Sevda, May 8th, prior to both vessels entering an Iranian port on the Gulf of Oman in violation of the ongoing U.S. blockade. A U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornet from USS George H.W. Bush disabled both tankers after firing precision munitions into their smokestacks, preventing the non-compliant ships from entering Iran. Analysts also noted that a recently published satellite image captured by the European Space Agency appears to show a massive oil spill bleeding out from Karg Island, one of Iran's most important oil export facilities. While the country denies that this spill came from facilities on the island, many have seen it as a clue that in addition to targeting Iranian vessels, America may also be going after critical oil infrastructure, potentially to exert more pressure on the regime to agree to a peace deal. However, as of mid-May, there's still no clarity on when a definitive end to the war could arrive. And the recent confrontation between America and Iran, captured on video, may just be a preview of what's about to come. Recently, satellite imagery revealed the arrival of the mysterious U.S. Special Operations vessel MV Ocean Trader at Diego Garcia, a military island that harbors American warships in the Indian Ocean within striking distance of Iran. While appearing almost like a regular civilian ship, the MV Ocean Trader can transport up to 200 troops, helicopters, and assault boats. Historically, the ship has often appeared near regions where U.S. Special Operations activity later intensified. And with America's enemies so close to it, the message appears to be clear. The fight with Iran is far from over. In early May, a group of Greek fishermen stumbled upon something unusual. According to residents of Lefkada, one of the western islands of the country where the incident happened, the fishermen were near a lighthouse when they suddenly noticed a strange boat they couldn't immediately identify, circling aimlessly inside a cave, with no sailors on board. The fishermen tightened a rope around it and drove it back to the harbor. Locals assured, quote, it looked very suspicious. Once it entered the port, the engine started up again, and because it was tied up, it became dangerous. There were concerns it could crash into rocks or other boats. In videos captured by local media sources from the port, the mysterious boat is shown as a low black unit, equipped with what appear to be 3 camera systems and an antenna, which some have suggested could have been used to connect with Starlink, the satellite network operated by SpaceX, used by different kinds of military drones to operate independently. By all accounts, the boat appeared to be a traditional military unmanned surface vehicle, or USV. However, where it came from and how it ended up in a remote Greek cave was a mystery that officials immediately started trying to piece together. The first step to solving the enigma was to identify the boat's model. Officials recognized it as a Ukrainian Magura V-3 multipurpose naval drone. However, the company behind the drones denied that it was one of its vessels. Nevertheless, videos of recent Magura drone demonstrations showcased units with a very similar design to the boat found in Greece. These drones are controlled in part by an internal system and in part by an external operator who ensures target acquisition and prevents the drone from straying off course. However, the lost Magura drone found in Greece wouldn't be the first time that one of these USVs escaped from Ukrainian hands. Late last year, Russians discovered a heavily modified Magura drone, presumably used as a mothership, that had somehow lost contact with its human operators. This model in particular was equipped with a series of boxes storing attack drones, suggesting it was on its way to carry out a strike before it became disconnected. It's unclear whether the Magura drone found in Greece had a similar mission. Still, according to unconfirmed reports, the boat may have been carrying as much as 660 pounds of explosives, suggesting it could have been sent to carry out a kamikaze strike. For most of the war against Russia, Ukrainian naval strikes have been limited almost exclusively to the Black Sea. However, late last year, a video of Ukrainian aerial drones coming down on a Russian tanker sailing across the Mediterranean Sea revealed that the nation is expanding its reach to hunt for the so-called Russian Shadow Fleet, supporting Moscow's oil exports despite international sanctions. It's also been noted that recent footage, captured by Ukrainian naval drones moments before driving into a Russian tanker near the port of Novorossiysk, confirms that the nation is actively using this type of boat to go after enemy ships. So while there still haven't been many reports of Ukrainian naval drones carrying out strikes in the Mediterranean Sea, the idea of the Greek drone having been sent out to hunt Russians trying to sneak oil out of their country doesn't seem too far-fetched when all things are considered. But while this could be a promising development for Ukraine's defense, countries across the region aren't happy about the prospect of potentially explosive unmanned vehicles becoming lost and wandering into civilian areas. In a statement, Greek Defense Minister Nikos Dendias declared, quote, "The presence of that sea drone affects the freedom of navigation and also affects the security of navigation. This is an extremely serious issue." On May 6th, a World War II-era ship that had once served America under the name USS Vigilance stood in the Luzon Strait between the Philippines and Taiwan when a series of missiles came flying down on it. Video of the strike shows the vessel engulfed in smoke before it begins to list. According to reports, attack aircraft were supposed to finish the job, but the ship sank so quickly that the airstrikes were called off. The attack did not come from an enemy, but from the United States and its allies. However, whether this was simply a routine exercise or preparation for a future Pacific War remains unclear. The sinking of the ship, which served as the BRP Quezon during its final years with the Philippine Navy, was part of Exercise Balikatan, one of the most important annual military exercises in the Pacific. Normally, it's carried out by the United States and the Philippines, but this year's drills included Japan as a full participant for the first time. And during the demonstrations, the nation did not hold back. According to reports, Japan deployed around 1,400 troops to the Philippines, with roughly 70 assigned to help operate the missile systems used during the sinking exercise. Among the most striking footage released from the drills is a clip of Japan's ground self-defense force launching a pair of Type 88 anti-ship missiles from a 6x6 launcher vehicle toward the target ship. The weapons reportedly traveled around 50 miles before striking the vessel roughly 6 minutes later. While the Type 88 is not Japan's newest missile system, it's still capable of hitting targets over 100 miles away while carrying a 550-pound warhead. Most importantly, the footage marked a historic moment for Japan. The first time the Type 88 missile had ever been fired outside Japanese territory, and the first time Japanese troops had operated in the Philippines since World War II. A major step for a country whose constitution formally renounces war as a means of settling international disputes. Japan is not the only American ally in the region expanding its military preparations. Around the same time Balikatan was underway, Taiwan's largest shipbuilder, CSBC Corporation, released footage of the country's first domestically built submarine, the Haikun, launching 2 Mark 48 torpedoes, reportedly capable of tracking targets independently and transmitting their location back to recovery teams if they fail to detonate. However, perhaps the clearest sign that the region is preparing for conflict came from footage of the U.S. military launching a Tomahawk cruise missile from a Typhoon mid-range capability system for the first time in the Philippines. Reports state the missile was launched from Tacloban City Airport in Leyte before striking a target in Luzon, more than 370 miles away. If a similar launch were carried out from Taiwan, several Chinese coastal targets could fall within range. China has previously criticized the deployment of systems like these throughout the region, warning that they could trigger an arms race. But after witnessing the recent tests carried out by the United States and its allies, it increasingly appears that the arms race is already underway, and the countries across the Pacific are no longer waiting for China to make the first move before preparing their most advanced weapons for war.